A hot topic in today's society is body consciousness. But what does that actually mean? Stay tuned and we'll explore it together.
Hi, we're Becky and Corey Center, and today we're going into consciousness of the body.
So just like with the consciousness of the mind, there is a deification and a demonization of the body as well, though it shows up in a slightly different manner. Often, when you think of deifying the body, what my thoughts are is obsession. And it may come across in a few different ways. One is vanity. Always having to be aware of your appearance, always having to look just right, worrying, that whole line of thought. I'm not going to go fully into it, but you get the idea.
And this is where it's a little bit different than just straight deifying, because in that way, like actual deifying, of really treating your body like a sacred vessel can be wonderful. Mm-hmm. And so this does show up a little bit differently with body when it goes to that one extreme, which can be that obsessive or vanity, or even that side of things where that's all that you can think about.
The other way that deification can become a problem is when you're fully given to pleasure and forsaking all else. Pleasure is great, don't get me wrong, but when your only focus is that, it comes across as addiction and obsession and eventually isolation, because that's the only thing you can focus on. These don't help you moving forward in your life.
So it's about balance. We're not saying don't have any pleasure at all. It's like definitely that's a huge part. Mm-hmm. But it is about finding this rich balance that keeps everything moving and magical.
And then the other side is neglect. And often I've seen a lot of spiritual teachings where it's like, the body is useless, forget about the body, it's all about the spirit, which is kind of ridiculous when I think about it, because my personal thoughts are the mind and the spirit are housed in the body. Therefore, the body needs to be honored and it needs to be taken care of to house, the rest of you, the whole consciousness that is you.
And there may have been times when a swing towards less focus on the body was important. Mm-hmm. And so those teachings were in place at a time for a reason. And so what we've got to look at is, rather than just following a dogma or a new trend, is finding what works for you now and what really works, what's allowing you to stay balanced and energized and loving your body so that consciousness can flow through it. And we'll get to the flow of consciousness in just a moment. Corey's loves that topic and is just brilliant with it. But as we get into the flow, there's this realm of consciousness being at different areas of the body. Now, we've talked about how the mind interacts, and there is the brain, so there is absolutely this head level of consciousness still housed in the body. Mm-hmm. And there's even been discussion about how there are similar cells or similar knowing at the heart level, as well as in the belly and in the gut. And we'd even go so far to say that there's even one more zone that's at the pelvic level. And so that we get these 4 zones of awareness, of consciousness that are existing in the body and have their own flavors, own challenges, and their own powerful manifestations as well.
This brings up a great quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, of all people. He's a philosopher from way back in the day. Actually, he's kind of cynical. That's beside the point. Mm-hmm. The quote is one of my favorites, and it is, "There is more wisdom contained in your body than in your deepest philosophy." Now that sink in. There's more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy. The body processes a lot of information. And you'll have that gut feeling, it's often termed, or intuition, or that sixth sense, or that felt sense, many different names, but the point being, it's the wisdom that comes from the body that's informing you of what's going on. That brings us to consciousness and the way it flows through the body. There were a couple French scientists whose names I don't remember, but they suggested that consciousness will flow through the body in tubes of light. Well, recent research has shown that there is a tissue in the body that covers the entire span, head to toe, and it looks like tubes of light. It's the fascial tissue. It's actually the tissue that I work with specifically when I'm doing body work with people. And I do that for a specific reason. Anytime you've gone through a traumatic experience, whether it's emotional or physical, that gets stuck in the body somewhere. Often you'll work through it intellectually, you'll work through it energetically, but it'll still be in the body. So I'm going to use the example and finish it that I started last time with the car. You're stepping out across the street and you see that you're going to get hit by a car, you're going to brace. You may jump out of the way, but you're bracing for that impact. And your mind takes you out so that you dissociate and you don't have to experience it fully. The problem is the body will hold on to that experience and constantly be bracing until it can have it fully.
And this is where the mind and body really need to work together. And when the dissociation happens in an instant as a defense mechanism, or because there is a major trauma like a car about to hit you, it comes as something that's needed in a moment. What the challenge is that we don't reintegrate. And part of really getting back to a conscious place of mind, body, and spirit is to reintegrate all of these layers together. And so we do want to highlight the piece around especially reintegrating mind and body. And we'll be getting to spirit coming up next.
So keep that in mind. And this week, as you go through your week, look at places in your body that hurt. Places that are hot, hard, or tender. And start to let your body move. Not necessarily dancing, not necessarily yoga, but just movement. And when you can drop into that subconscious space and put the mind and body together, your body will actually go into the position it needs to be to release a lot of the past traumas.
And sometimes you may need support, so reach out, ask for support in getting what may be stuck at the body level out, because that does let you keep that balance between obsession and neglect. And so really letting the consciousness actually flow. Otherwise, that consciousness in the body gets blocked, and you're not able to live your full life.
I think we're about out of time for today. But hit the like button. Stay tuned next time, and we'll go into the consciousness of spirit. We love being here to support you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.